If you know, I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. Hey, hey. And I wonder if you know what's going on, y'all. We are here. We are here. Step on in. Woo! Oh, Kanye. What happened? They want the old Kanye. Where you go, Kanye? That off the stove Kanye. I need that cold Kanye. All right. I'm back. What's going on, y'all? It is Cashmere, California. This is the Pod is Good podcast. This is episode 11. Do you hear me? Do you hear me out there? This is episode 11 of the Pod is Good podcast. Once again, I'm your man, Cashmere, California. Pod is good. And all the time, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you about to learn. Welcome, everybody. Step on in. The doors of the train are about to close, and we going somewhere. We taking a journey today. We taking a journey. I have another great episode. Sorry for the pause. I was trying to think of the best way to describe my next guest. He's an all-around virtuoso in so many words, and so it's hard to put a specific label on him, and so I won't. I call him the wild child. I also said at one point, if I ever drew him in animation, he would always float. He would never touch the ground. That kind of gives you some kind of an idea of what I think about this guy. One of my favorite guys. So we're going to get him in the studio real soon. But other than that, how are y'all doing today? If you're watching live, if you're watching the video live, please jump in the chat. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're watching and rocking with us. I do appreciate that. I appreciate anyone who takes time out of your busy schedules or just your busy social life media exploration and decides to stop in and check out Pod is Good. I appreciate that. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, listening on Spotify, I appreciate y'all too. Riding in the car, sit back. You working, painting a building, sit back. I got you. We're gonna entertain you for a little while. And after you're entertained by this show, by this specific episode, hopefully you will then subscribe to the channel and binge all of the previous episodes, because thus far, wow, this show has brought in, let's see, I had a ex-gang member, Black conservative. I've had a real estate broker. I've had a music producer. I've also had a Shaolin master. I mean, come on, man. This has been an eclectic show. There's not a lot of places that you can find this. Most podcasts have a specific direction, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. They have a specific theme, a specific overarching point that the show is attempting to make. Whereas Pod is Good is more like, I know some incredible people. Some of them are behind the scenes incredible. Some of them are in front of the scenes incredible. And I just love showing y'all what type of dynamic conversations that me and these incredible individuals have. That's it. And through that journey, I feel like you get to learn something. Your eyes are open to new things. You're inspired and motivated by other things. Hopefully we can get some creative juices going. We're going to have conversations that might heal relationships of yours. You just don't know. I might have therapists here, dentists here, car salesmen giving you game behind the scenes. You just never know. So please continue to follow Pod is Good, because the content has already been very dynamic, and it is going to continue that on our road to complete domination. Like Conor McGregor said, we didn't come to be a part, we came to take over. That's how I feel. We've come to take over. Probably said some of those vowels wrong, but anyway, I don't want to just be a part of it. I want to take it over. All right. And I want to do that because I know that the people that I know, the people that I choose to hang around in my circle are literally changing the world. That was actually going to be the name of this podcast, was My Friends Change the World. That was the first name that I thought of. Then it kind of felt maybe it's a little too self-absorbent to say like I have the best friends on the planet type of thing. I don't know. I probably should have just went with it. Got my braggadocious, hip hop thing on and was just like, yeah, that's what it is. My friends change the world. What are yours doing? What your friends doing? Huh? You excelling at PS4? What are you doing? What are you doing? Because my friends is out here. My friends is out here getting it done. Like for real, for real. I don't know, man. Y'all got me. Sorry, I shouldn't have did that right into the mic. My apologies. I don't mean to be sniffing and snorting, right into the microphone. And I see him just touched down, just jumped into the studio. I'm telling y'all, one of my favorite people on the planet. My guy. I don't know an introduction that will complete the overview of this particular artist, but we'll start there. He's an artist. He's a musician. He's a director. He's a photographer. I can go on. I can go on. He is literally a multifaceted artist in every sense of the word. And most recently, his greatest accomplishment, my guy, my friend, my brother, is a father. We'll get into that. Ladies and gentlemen, come into the studio, my guy, S. Oh, make some noise for him. Make some noise.
The question is, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, my guy.
Man. Awesome, man.
How you been, bro?
Dude, I like the studio.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It looks nice.
Far too kind. You're far too kind.
So wait, is this live? What happens?
You are live, sir. You are live. I might not have told you that. I keep forgetting to tell.
No, you didn't tell me that.
I keep forgetting to tell people that they're live, and that's on me.
No, it's cool.
That's on me. I keep forgetting to tell people. So yes, you are live. You are live. Welcome. I'm glad to have you. I haven't seen you in a minute.
For real.
It's been some time.
Yeah.
You're like a whole new guy now. You're like a whole new. Your whole everything about you has changed from where you live to your family dynamic to and I'm pretty sure obviously your mindset, like your whole situation is like you're like a new person.
It is true. I mean, fully new person, man. In good ways and in
there it is.
Some tough ways, but absolutely brand new. I can tell you that much.
We will get into all of it. So as I bring all of my great friends on the channel, I was actually just telling everybody that I was gonna name the podcast "My Friends Change the World."
Wow.
Because I felt like the efforts and the ideas and the heart that my friends have, like that's literally the ingredients in changing the world. Like, then I changed the name because I felt like it was maybe a little too big-headed.
Congratulatory. No, we got some cool friends, man. I'm not gonna lie. We've had some cool friends. I think all the time, like I might know some of the most creative folks alive.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
Yeah,
I was
lucky.
I was watching Ebonique recently on Nick Cannon's Wild and Out. I'm like, Ebonique.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like she was in the crew. That's crazy. I'm gonna have to get her on the show.
Yeah, you should actually. I
Yeah.
haven't talked to her in a long time, but I was just looking at. She just posted something recently.
Oh
That
yeah.
looked good.
Do you know if she's still doing music?
I don't know. I haven't seen her post any records, but that doesn't mean she's not. You know, a lot of the work we do as musicians happens in silence. You know.
Yeah, a lot of times. A lot of times.
Yeah.
But all right, so I want people don't know uh how much of a decorated star you are, right? You know what I'm saying? Because exactly what you just said. A lot of it happens in silence. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like there are so many moments that I know you can remember where it's like, oh yeah, that happened. But when it
Yep.
happened, it was just another day. It wasn't like
Yeah.
you
Always.
didn't send out invitations, no one
No.
sent balloons. It was just, oh wow, I have this now. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And if you're bad at Instagram, like I am, then people just don't even know what you're doing. You
Right.
know? I like post pictures of a bird that I saw, but I won't post. But everyone's like, what have you what have you been doing? I'm like, man, I'm actually so busy. I'm constantly working. Here's a picture of a bird. You know, it's how my Instagram's ridiculous. It's just like me on a motorcycle, but 5 months. The last post I did was like 3 months ago. It was like a bear or something. It's just the weirdest content.
That's it. It's like this is what I actually choose to share.
Yeah.
Like, but it's funny that you are like that because that is how I think of you. Like, I feel like you have this duality about you that you can be excruciatingly busy in
Yeah.
music and production and all of that,
Yeah.
and then in a blink of an eye stop to focus on the sound of an owl. Like
Right.
that owl shouldn't be out at this time.
That's
Is that owl lost?
it's the only way I stay sane. I can't. Yeah, I need to be doing different things every once in a while. Otherwise, I mean, my brain just goes really wonky.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah.
turn you up a little bit. The volume's a
Yeah,
little
I could
low.
probably give you a little more volume here.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, so let's get into your story. A
Yep.
brief story about SR, where you come from,
Okay.
kind of, just a little overview.
Okay. Where do I come from? I come from the East Coast. I was born in Connecticut. And
Hold on, you cutting in and out.
can,
Oh no, it's
I
cut
wonder
up
if
a little bit.
I wonder if I'm even coming through my microphone or coming through the computer.
Yeah, at first like, we could hear you really good, but just as soon as you went into your story,
What about? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you right now.
Okay. Uh,
Okay.
let's see. Do it. Yeah, I should be coming through this microphone. It's the only source of audio. Okay. Well, can you hear me now? How's that?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right. So, yeah, I was born in New Haven, Connecticut. I moved around Connecticut a bunch as a youngster, and I was about. I wasn't really. I wouldn't consider myself a popular young kids, right? So I had a lot of time to be by myself, and at some point, my dad. It's one of my most vivid memories. Actually, is my dad, my father coming home, opening the car door, and he brought me. And I remember a red Jackson guitar coming in the back seat with a little Epiphone amp.
Hold on,
And
hold on, because I missed it.
yeah,
He brought you a red what?
Jackson. It's called a Jackson. The brand is Jackson. It's old school. I mean, I don't even know if people care about Jacksons. I don't. But he brought me an old. Well, it was new at the time, but he brought me a Jackson electric guitar with a little Epiphone amp. It was like the size of a toaster, and that's honestly one of my earliest memories in life. Is almost like when my life started to some degree was through music, because I wasn't really building much confidence in other areas. So I was I was a little overweight little kid, and I was probably getting bullied a little bit. And um, so like I said, one of my most vivid early memories is the guitar coming out of the car. And it's almost like my personality, my life started at that point. And I kind of never put the guitar down. I remember, I hear stories every now and again that I got frustrated. The guitar was too big for my hands. I was a little guy, but then once I picked it up, I obviously have never put it down since I was about 7 or 8 years old. So I've been playing consistently since, I mean, certainly since 8 or 9.
Wow.
And started writing my own music. My own 11 and 20 acoustic songs. Whatever. Just
all right, hold on. We got to get your audio right. So sometimes you're good, sometimes you're not.
That's weird. I wonder why.
Hold on.
Can't tell if it's me. I can't tell if it's. What about if I do that? If I can't go higher than that. I could record my own audio, but let's see.
I can't do anything on my side.
There definitely is a signal problem going on here, and I don't know what it is. What if I do that?
That's better. That's better.
What if I do that? How's that? Is that better?
A lot better. Hold on.
What about that?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were saying you've heard stories about being frustrated that the guitar was too big.
Yeah, I've heard. I remember hearing some stories about how I'd get real frustrated because this guitar was too big for me, and but once I sort of overcame that physical restriction, I guess I never put it down. I never put the guitar down from then on, more or less. I mean, up until I was about 20, probably played guitar every day, if not at times. Obviously, I have a week of time where I was somewhere else and not playing music, but I mean, I guarantee I made or played music never ending from about 8 years old. So it's kind of like, what else was I gonna do?
Then that was it. That was your opening into music. Were you already beating against the kitchen table, playing air drums and all that already?
Oh, I got in trouble. I got in trouble in class constantly for using the desk as a drum set. I mean, I was always getting yelled at by the teacher for making rhythms on the table. I just could not stop, and to this day I still can't. If you see me, if we're together for an hour and I'm not doing something on the table or with a pen or something, and it's not a nervous thing. Like a lot of folks do twitch for nervous reasons or they bounce there. It's definitely not a nervous thing for me. It's just I can't stop hearing. I couldn't stop hearing music as a young person. I was always hearing it. But
do you have any siblings?
Well, I do now, but my father was remarried about 10 years ago, something like that, and I have two younger brothers. Now they're freaking almost in high school, but I did not grow up with siblings. No.
Okay. So you got the only child. You got
which is focus, which is all right. I mean, well,
good and a bad thing.
My mother worked all day. My mother worked all day. My parents were divorced at a age, so my grandmother watched me a lot. So yeah, I was an only child, but it's not so romantic. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's downsides to having 5 or 6 siblings as well, but being an only child is not. It's not all that glamorous. You spend a lot of time.
You dropped again. I noticed when you look to the left.
To the left,
there seems to be more of an issue, but when you're facing a little more to your right shoulder or facing straight on, then you're a little more clear. It still has been showing some signs of breakage here and there.
How do we feel about that?
All right, so far it's good. So
far, check. I'm getting way more signal like this, I believe.
And I also noticed when you were testing, you were a little further back the first time. So I don't
Yeah.
know if the distance is affecting it at all. But then when you start to get close,
Yeah.
and they need to hear you. I wouldn't be making such a big deal about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No, I got you.
On if they're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, like they want to know who the guy is.
All right. Ooh.
No.
Really?
It's almost like it's clipping. It's almost like there's a gate on it or something where it's like a limiter for some reason.
There's nothing on it. What about now?
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
All right. Let's try.
I switched up my mic recently. I might be just be doing some weird shit. That could be. That sounds like the best. Yeah, probably. Check. All right. What about that?
So far, so good.
Okay. Where was I?
Yeah. Keep. Give it a little back up, just a little bit off of it.
What about here?
That might be better.
I wonder if it's just clipping and it's pissed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here?
Good. Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
That's great. Right there.
Who knows, man?
At least so far.
SM7 beats are funky.
That's how they go.
Yeah, they're weird.
So the only child, and so it's funny.
Yeah.
I labeled you SR the wild child, and I was just saying before you got on, like back when we were talking about the team being animated. I remember I was saying like, oh yeah, I would draw SR with a guitar, and he would float. He would never touch the ground. And then it's interesting that I chose the wild child, and to hear that you were an only child, which I probably knew somewhere in one of our conversations, but wasn't thinking about it. And it kind of makes sense because when you're the only child, you kind of get a little more freedom to, the world is your oyster. You don't got to share. You don't got to, it's no one else's birthday in the house. It's my birthday. It's your Christmas. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Christmas, definitely. Well, I come from an Italian family. So yeah, they, everything's about the babies, and but I have a son. It's like my mom FaceTimes him twice a day. Never stops calling it. You know what? It's awesome though, because like you said, as a child, a lot of the attention is on you, but it's not always. Sometimes it's very critical attention, and people don't mean it. It's just you're the only one around, right? So
right.
A lot of people, sometimes it's people watching you, being very critical about what you're doing, and so it's a little bit of a relief as an adult to now. When my mother calls me, I don't have to explain anything. She's calling for my son, right? So I'm off the hook now, which is great. But yeah, being an only child, it has permeated. It's definitely part of my personality, in that I spend most of my time most of my time thinking, and sometimes overthinking.
Of course.
And it's probably that probably plays a part. Yeah, but anyway, so can you still hear me well?
Here and there. I mean, I'm getting what you're saying. It's just not. It's just not consistent.
That's interesting. I don't know what the hell that's about.
And what's funny? Here's the hilarious part, and this is the beauty of tech and the audio world. When you are giving your story, it's all over the place. But then the moment you go, really, that's weird. It's like perfect. it's like crystal clear. It's even. It's warm. It's like everything you want audio to be in a digital format. And then you're like, yeah. So, and then it just goes right back to. This is how electronics are, man. It's like you know me. That's my other business is in the world of electronics, and so it's like I deal with that. Where I remember I had a customer. I spent maybe a good 14 hours. A good 14 hours with this customer, putting in a surround sound system. Right? They bought this brand new surround sound system from Magnolia AV, which is the higher end, the portion of Best Buy. And after the 14 hours, we put it all in, turned it on. Nothing. When I say nothing, I mean like not a whisper, not a crackle, not a hum. I heard nothing. I'm sitting there like, what is going on? It's brand new. It's a brand new Harman Kardon receiver. It's a like brand new speakers. I forgot the brand at the time. I remember the Harman Kardon because that turned out to be the issue. But I sat there troubleshooting for like another hour and a half, and the whole time I'm thinking, this can't be life. Like this can't be my reality right now. I go home feeling just depleted and conquered. To the next morning, the my customer called me maybe around 8:30 in the morning, and they were like, "Hey, everything works," and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. What did you do?" And they said, "Nothing. I just turned it on this morning and it was just playing." And I'm like, did you change anything like a setting? Did you touch any power? Did you nothing?" They're like, "No, no, no. My son was just he got up and he went to go watch cartoons and he turned it on. The next thing I know, I heard the sound on. And I went in there and I asked him, and he's too young. He wouldn't have known anything to do. He said he just turned it on and turned it up. I'm like, you're kidding me. And to this day, this had to be a good, I don't know, 12 to 15 years ago. And to this day, I have zero understanding of what happened. It is just a mystery in my audio history that will never be solved. The day that everything wrong until 24 hours later and it went right. That
Well,
I can't explain.
well, tell me something about this mic. Good thing about being a producer is can you hear me better on this one?
Not yet.
Really? It's got to be something here getting a good. I'm getting a nice signal. I wonder if it's like. Let's check this actually. Noise. How about that?
That so far is better.
Yeah,
So far is better.
yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's good.
That's I found the issue there.
You found the issue.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was an issue is that, and I did not know this. Obviously, I've never used this platform before, but you have to change the input on the actual stream. Me, I have to do it from.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so that should be working better.
Yeah, so far it's
How about
better.
that?
I can tell.
Yep. Better.
So far better. So far better. Let's get into the next portion and we'll see.
Okay.
Because
All
clearly the in-between time is great.
Let me
let's see what it's
let me
like.
know. Let me know if you're having issues hearing this, but it sounds better on my end now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about only child. Yeah, so yeah, so being an only child, yeah, you spend a lot of time, at least in circumstances. Maybe there's kids who have, maybe it's romantic for some people, but for me it was definitely hard. So now as an adult, I maybe have a tendency to rely on myself too much, maybe just rely on myself for support or for particularly emotional support. But can you still hear me?
So far, so good. I'm gonna put on my headphones though, just to see if I can hear you different.
Yeah. So, but still playing music every single day. And I think what turned it from a hobby to a thing that I thought, okay, for definitely making real friends, right? I mean, term friends. I had a few friends as in high school.
Bro, I can't tell what's going on.
Wait, something seriously still going on?
Yeah. Wow. And it's crazy because it was good, and then it's almost like it's like slowly getting worse and worse, and it's breaking down as we go along.
Can't be on my end because I'm getting a good signal.
You're solid on your side. I mean,
stereo audio, but did that change for you?
Do me a favor. Do me a favor.
I don't want that.
I'm gonna do me a favor. Call me let's just test this out real quick. Sorry for everybody listening. We just want to make
No,
sure,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Use the link and hit me on like your phone or something else. Well, you're on your computer, right?
For audio, you mean?
No. Just period. Like I'm gonna
use the link and do it from my phone. I get you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm gonna pull you off here and then I'll
All
bring
right.
you on.
Let me try.
All right,
that.
go ahead. All right, I just gotta get, want my guy to be right. He has an incredible story to tell, and it's just dynamic in every sense of the word when it comes to music production. And you kind of hear him talking about himself as a guitar player, his early days playing the guitar. I think that's crazy that he they said he has heard stories about the guitar being too big for him to play. I think that's always fun. That's always fun to hear cool stories about yourself when you were younger. All right, so we're gonna bring him back in. We just want to see if the audio is any better. All right, let's test that.
What are we? You hear me now?
I hear you perfect.
All right. So who the hell knows? As soon as I got off with you, my microphone input was through the roof. So something's going on with the streaming thing and my mic, or so who knows?
Gotcha.
Anyways,
Okay.
you can hear me good now.
I can hear you perfect now.
Okay, where was that?
So
Okay.
sorry to make you hold your phone,
No, it's fine.
but I do appreciate it. Audio sounds great now. So
Okay.
let's kind of shift into, like, we kind of know the background
Yep.
of when you first got that red guitar, right?
Yep. Okay.
Right. And but I know the SR of today plays multiple instruments.
Yeah.
He's production aficionado. So take me into that journey for you from that first guitar that you can barely remember all the way to now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So first guitar turned into wanting to write my own songs, which happened about 11 years old. Then I started writing my own stuff, and at about 16, I started my first band, which is kind of when it became serious for me, and probably too serious. And if you ask my friends from back then, they'll be like, "Man, you were taking this a little too serious. We were playing, we were playing bowling alleys, and you were like really making us practice." And
Hold on.
and
What was
that's
the name
true.
of the band? Because it was like my favorite name ever. What's the name of the band?
Well, no, I have so many. I don't know which one was your favorite, but my first one ever was named Tangent, and I did not name that one. But my first show ever was at a bowling alley, for real.
For
And
real.
it was amazing. We were playing covers like, I'm talking like Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train, and I was just ripping his solos for 3 minutes, and then we were playing Leonard Skinner, Sweet Home Alabama, like just a weird mixture of things that makes no sense.
Yeah.
But we were at the bowling alley, and we're all playing, and we're all shredded, and we're having a blast, and all these people are stopping their games and coming to watch, because this was our first experience playing out live, and that camaraderie, right, of like people coming and participating and being close to you.
Yeah.
We all just got hooked to that, right? We got hooked to that feeling of of hanging out with people and new people, and meeting. A lot of times in a band, everyone who's been in a band can attest to this. You meet some wild freaking people, and that was we got into that lifestyle of just like playing shows, meeting new people, wanting to travel and go and play shows in other places, just from that one bowling alley show, right? It became like a thing. So then I was out playing a show somewhere, and this is probably the band name that you like, which was we were young, so don't judge us too much, but the band was called Under a Falling Sky, which obviously means there was screaming involved, which there was. And so I was writing a bunch of songs by myself and having nowhere really to put them at that point, because the band that I was in was playing covers. And so we were playing this show at the beach. I can't remember even what it was called anymore. Bonfire Fest, maybe. And these guys, dude, we're young, right? We're just taking this too seriously. I'm like, I must be like 14 or 15. But like the way I remember it, right, is these I'm like a young kid, right, playing at the beach for the local, high school kids and college kids. And this other band walks up to me, and it was like, they're like, "Man, we want you to be part of our band." And I'm like, "What is like this?" But back then it was such a serious moment, right? So
They're like, we want you to be,
It
we
was like
want
it
you
was
to
like
quit.
gang initiation.
Yeah. We want you to quit this band and be part of our band. And I was like, wow, man, this is wild. So I'm younger than all of them, right? So I'm thinking like I just got inducted into the, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Of
So
course, easily.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I joined this band, and this is where I start to see like,
Oh, you
oh,
left. You
yeah.
did it.
Well, I didn't leave
You was
right
like,
away.
"Son
I didn't. No, I know. I
these
didn't leave right away.
bitches."
I didn't leave right away. I went to one of their rehearsals, and I was like, "Oh, this is what a serious band does, right?" And so then I went back to my other rehearsals, and I kind of tried to implement some of the things that I had seen, kind of dabbling in this other group's rehearsals and stuff. And I realized, like, okay, if I want to do something, if I want to go to the next like step of this, and of course, again, 14, 15 years old, that means absolutely nothing. But in my brain at the time, it meant something. So looking back, it's just comedy now, right? But I thought, okay, I gotta move on to this next thing. And I told these guys like, well, I still want to do this, but I'm gonna go do this other thing too. And so that thing kind of fell apart because of course we're kids, right? So
Yeah.
I joined this other thing, and I meet this group of people who they like it as a young person, it made me realize like, oh, this is actually what I want to do with all of my time forevermore. So then it
Forevermore.
became a struggle, at home, because my mother's she's an academic. She wants me to love school and be in school, and unfortunately I hated every minute of school from start to finish, and that's just the truth. And I didn't hate learning. That's a different thing. I hated school particularly.
Yeah.
Not learning. I love to learn. I was always a sponge. And so, yeah, the next stage is college, which is where I realized the kind of things I wanted to learn. Um, so anyways, a lot of struggle, right? Where I was playing guitar 6 hours a day whenever I got a chance. Like if I had to get up early, I'd play guitar. If I had to stay up late, I'd play guitar. But I was just sitting on my amp writing music because I couldn't wait to play the next show on the weekend. And we played shows every weekend, and we became a fairly popular group in that part of the tri-state area. And then my mother said, I told my mother, I said, listen, we're going to buy a bus. Now, imagine, I'm a father now, so I can't imagine my son tells me this. I found a bus for $1,000 that a guy who runs a circus is selling out of his backyard, and I'm going to go buy it. So
and hit the road and make millions.
Yeah.
It's going down, Mom.
So I said, we're going to go buy this bus for $1,000, and we're going to travel the country playing music. And she's like, yeah, except for no, you're not going to do that, right? And so I said, this was a turning point in my maturity, where I said, actually, I'm going to do it. And so it's going to happen, right? It's going to happen, and I am going to do it, right? So that's off the table now, but I just want to let you know what I'm doing, and what kind of would make you feel comfortable with me going to do this.
Hold on. How old are you?
Oh, I'm 17 maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is where Black people talk about the difference and how Black people can talk to their parents.
100%.
Because I'm listening to you like I don't feel like I can say that now.
No,
like,
but the thing is,
right
I
now.
couldn't say that before. I could never have said that before. But for some reason,
it was just a moment.
She believed. First off, my mother's an attorney, and in court they call her, and I'm not kidding. Adult men with fear in their eyes have told me, we call your mother the dragon lady in court. And so you can't get things past her, and she was not about most things, but this time she understood that this was something I was gonna do, and so I was either gonna do it without her permission, and I was just going to go and do it, which maybe would have made it more dangerous for me to do, or she was going to tell me what was going to make her comfortable, and I would try to accommodate. And I think she just knew, like, oh, this is like, he's not kidding, and there's nothing I can do to stop this. So, it's like I'd rather us be on good terms about it, and maybe he'll accommodate me so that I'm not up all night every night. And I'm sure she was up all night every night, but
had to be.
But anyways, we went and we fixed up this darn bus, a big black, like just this big black school bus.
Wow.
We outfitted it with beds. We put all our gear in it, and we booked weeks and weeks of shows. And we just took off in the summer, and
That's fire.
and now that bus broke down a bunch of times.
Of course it did. It was $1,000.
And
That's
that I
why he
never
was getting
told
rid
her.
of it.
And that I never told her. And well, she knows now, but I never told her then, right? But we
Of
were stranded in
course.
Pennsylvania. I think within 2 hours of leaving, it broke down. And then we got it fixed by somebody at a local shop. And then we were successful for a few weeks with that bus. And then
Right.
it broke down in Pennsylvania. We met all these cool people. We stayed at their houses. I mean, every night we were on the microphone. Does anybody have a place we can stay? Does anyone have a barn we can sleep in? And people were always like, yeah, come by my place. And we'd meet the
That's
wildest
dope.
people, man.
That's dope.
So
Hold on real quick. I just want to back up to something you said.
yeah,
You said you were taking it way too serious. We were only like 15,
Yeah.
16. I beg to differ.
yeah, maybe,
I beg
yeah,
to differ. I mean, if you look at So Def
yeah.
as a unit, they was all dang near 11 to 17 years old, from the
Yep.
producer to the top talent, Chris Cross, the Brat,
Yeah.
little Bow Wow, JD, all little kids for the most part. So I just think it was in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were just a prodigy to it. And so there was no escaping that.
There
destiny.
wasn't, but I was also turning into like I was like trying to parent people because I wanted our rehearsals to go well. I wanted our shows to go well. So I'd be like, you got to stop smoking cigarettes. We got to go to the gym together. We got to get our shit together so that we can be a productive group. So that when the time comes, because we started going to studios at that point and working with semi well-known producers to make these our first like real legitimate album. And I wanted, and at that age already, I had that like type A personality mixed with the type B personality. And if you knew my parents, you'd understand they're polar opposite people. But I had that type A personality in me where I was like, no, if we're going to do it, we got to take it seriously. We got to actually try to make it happen. And I actually won't do it otherwise. Right. So I was getting are you there?
I'm still.
There you are. I was probably getting mildly annoying. I'm still friends with all
mildly.
Just a little bit annoying. I was being Prince a little bit. They say behind it, like, but I was being a little bit annoying about like making sure we were at rehearsals, make sure we were rehearsing enough, make sure we had the right gear, make sure we were playing out often enough, making sure we did this, blah blah blah. And I think at that point it was like that's when you start separating yourself from other folks because some people just want to do it for fun,
right?
You know,
this is true.
Yeah.
This is
so true. After this touring thing or whatever, we went and made this album, and I think what happened was the producer that was making that album, he tried to separate me from this group again. This was like a recurring nightmare where like now someone's trying to separate me from a group, and the only reason is because he feels like, okay, you're taking it seriously, and I want you to come and do something separately with me. And at this point, these were like my best friends, and I really believed in us, and so I was like, no, we're gonna do this together. And they were all like, yeah, we're gonna do this together, and we're gonna move to California, and we're going to try to really make this a thing.
Oh, so Cali comes because of that group.
Cali comes because of that group, and we kind of changed it up. It was a band before, like a screamo band, but then I was like, I want to start making more like radio-esque songs. I want to like make songwriter songs. I want hooks.
Yeah. So when you say screamo, you mean, because I don't know.
Yeah.
When you say screamo, the first thing I think is like goth rock, like that's what I think of. So
it's
screamo,
not quite that. It's not quite that.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard Paramore?
No.
You know Paramore. Oh, whatever meant to break, then I got it where I want it now. Oh, never break. It's a female-fronted band. Yeah. So if that band had people screaming every now and again, that would be like pretty close to screamo, but that's a little bit lighter. But it's like metal music mixed with emo music, but they're singing and they're screaming. It kind of goes back and forth.
Wow.
Yeah, so like our singer, like he's
that's so hard. That's so hard for me to see you doing because you're so mellow,
right?
You're so laid back. So to even imagine you in a band where you're screaming all through the tri-state area, it's like
I wasn't mellow then. I was angsty and I was hurt about something, and I don't know exactly what. But that's another story. But I was writing a lot of very angsty lyrics and a lot of very a lot of very angry lyrics, and so it wasn't a stretch then. But so yeah, what happened is we kind of morphed into like more of a singer songwriter type thing, more of like I guess you'd call it like like soft contemporary rock or something. I don't know how we made this switch, but it was just like a natural transition for me. I always liked every kind of music anyway, so to me it was like I just want to play songs that actually sound like are good and that people all over the place, all over the world can get into. I don't want to be such a niche group anymore.
Gotcha.
So then we were playing a show in New York. We somehow landed it. We somehow got a manager. And
real quick, Eric in the chat, what's
Oh,
up?
sweet.
What's up, fam? I see you. And you're right, all the time. Pod is good all the time,
all the time, baby.
All right, so you said you got a manager.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm in college. I'm studying global studies. I know for a fact I don't want to go for music because music in college is like, there's nothing that was more annoying to me personally. I understand the value of it. For me personally, I could not turn music into math like that. I just couldn't enjoy it, and that's not how I started. It just didn't work for me very much. But I envy people who did it and have that kind of understanding of music. But it just did not work for me. So then I started going for global studies. And so, learning about the world, learning about different cultures, like really excited me. So that was a great use of my studies at that point. But then I was, we were playing out in other states regularly, and we were playing in New York, and we landed ourselves a manager. And her whole thing was like, you guys got to be in California, right? So I was like, okay, I don't know. I mean, I guess at that point I had no interest in going to California, but she was like, I know some people out in California that can make this really happen. And I'm like, okay. And now I know, looking back, that, hey, let me tell you something. There's no shortcut. Like, people who make this shortcut shit up, this story.
No shortcut.
This is for marketing. There's no shortcut, because I went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 managers. And guess what? They all had amazing intentions. Some of them have connections in ways I would not mention right now, because it would be, they can seriously name drop. Some of these people can seriously name drop, and nothing meaningful came out of those situations, really, other than my relationships with those people, which are great. We don't utilize each other in a business sense anymore, but I still talk to a lot of those folks, and I consider them mentors. But in terms of like what it meant to have a bunch of people around, like, there was no shortcut, because you know what the reality is, I wasn't ready.
And so you would say that's why it didn't happen.
I was not ready. And now looking back, I know that I wasn't ready even more now than I did then. I didn't know that. Then I kind of like, well, first off, my personality is always such that I could literally just be like, I could have 6 Grammys right now, and tonight I'll be like, damn, I need to do more. What should I do? I need to figure out how to do more. Like, that's just how my brain is. So, but then I didn't know, I was not ready. And now looking back, it took me not too long actually to look back and realize I wasn't ready. And what showed me that I wasn't ready was doing the work that people are forgetting to do. If you want to do anything in music, and you didn't spend a few years sucking really bad in a garage somewhere, there's something you don't know. There is. There's something you don't. There's something that you don't know, and there's something that you don't know. There is something separating you from the person who did that. And I know many, many successful people who spent years and years sucking in a garage just for the fun of it.
Yep.
And you can't skip that stage. I'm sorry.
You can't cheat the process.
You can't, and that's what I learned after those meetings, those initial meetings. Like, she was setting me up with record label meetings. There was no reason that I was in the right places. There was no reason. I was talking to the right people. There's no reason except for the fact that I wasn't ready. Now, I had the 10 years of sucking in a garage. What I didn't have was the understanding of what it takes to be a good business person in the music industry, what it means to turn music into money, and also what it means to like be a triple threat, right? To write music, to perform music, to produce music, to sing, to play. You know, some people will call someone like that, like Ryan Tedder, 100%er, for example, someone who can just be left in a room by themselves and then they'll have an album in a month that's like ready to go, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to be, and that's what I wanted to be, and I was not ready to be that kind of person yet. And you know what changed it for me was not any of those opportunities, none of them working out, all of them falling by the wayside, all of them turning into dust in front of me. And then just spending time in studios with people till 4 a.m. for 6 years straight. That's when I started recognizing, oh, dude, there was a whole step I was trying to skip.
Yeah.
Gratefully, I had the first step, the very first step, which is sucking for 10 years.
Yeah.
I had that step. The next step was being in rooms one after another, night after night, week after week, different people, this person, this genre, this song, this type of lyric, and just joyfully moving through music night after night. And I got the opportunity to do that with certain collaborators, Nova, Monsta, people like that, you know. And then I had my own studio in Studio City, and you'd come by and we just make music for no freaking reason all the time. And that's what you have to do.
You do.
And unfortunately, what I notice as a producer now is particularly young artists, but also even more particularly artists who are now starting to get into like the process of doing all this. They don't want to hear that they're not ready.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear it. And the fact is they're not. And it's not because they don't have talent. It's not because they don't have passion. It's because they haven't put the time in.
But that's the thing. A lot of times when you tell somebody that very real statement that maybe you're just not ready. Maybe there's something else that you need. There's something, you know, in that foundational piece of you as an artist that it will show.
Yeah,
you might be able to get by in the beginning, but your longevity is going to show. What they hear is you saying I suck.
And that's
you saying I'm not good enough. You saying I came out here for nothing. And it's like, that's not it.
No, I'm saying be patient and be joyfully patient.
Right.
Because that's what makes it work. You have to be joyfully excitable and patient, but you have to be like, you have to want to do it regardless of the outcome. Otherwise, and I know that sucks. And it's like, it's almost like annoying to hear like, well, you got to do it and not really worry about the outcome. And I wish that was not the case. I wish you could go in saying this song's going to be a hit and this song's going to make me $1 million. And that's why I'm going to do it. And I'm going to put all my effort into it. And then that's going to be the outcome. But you actually can't do that. You have to go into studios night after night, week after week, no matter what day job you got. And if you don't have kids, you have to do it. You just have to. If you've got kids, that's another dude. Being a parent is a totally different thing. But if you don't got kids, and you're not in, and I don't just see you around in studios regularly doing stuff, you're missing a whole step, and you're kidding yourself about what's going to happen when an A&R or someone of that caliber listens to your music, and you don't think they're going to be able to tell. Because they'll tell you right now, they can tell. And whether they can play music or not, and a lot of hear this argument a lot is like they don't even play music, and it's like maybe they don't. And I agree, that's kind of obnoxious. Like, right, as a creator, you want to be critiqued by people who know what you do and know the process and how it works and how hard it is to get where you got.
Right.
But the fact is they don't. But I'll tell you what they can hear. I think that they can hear readiness. I'm fairly certain they can hear readiness, and it's not in the genre. It's not even necessarily in the lyric. It's not even necessarily in the production. It's in a delivery. It's in it's an energy that reads as readiness.
Yeah.
And people who are ready, you don't question it. You're not like, oh, I wonder if you can feel it when they enter the room. That like this person's ready, whatever that means. You can just tell, you know, that they're ready to take the responsibility on of success. They're ready to, you know, because this is the thing people don't understand. If you want to make money now and you want to do it without a label and you want to do it without all these big money factories behind you, which most people are doing now, you can't just be cool. You have to also, you have to come across as a person that people trust with money. and you have to come across as a person who people trust with time and with deadlines and with deliverables. It's not just, you can't just be cool all the time and expect people to pay you.
Yeah.
And so I learned all of these things just from putting in, ask any, you know a few of the guys I used to work with, a few of the people I used to work with in studios all the time. Ask any of them how many hours we spent in the studio just making stuff, pitching stuff, artists in, not artists in, me doing vocals, them doing vocals, tapping on a table and turning it into a sample. Like, just ask them how many hours we spent doing it. They'll never be able to recount the amount of hours and nights we did that.
That's the grind. I call it like the lottery effect. Because with the lottery, people see the winners, right? They see the success moment, they see the big check, and that's enchanting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want a piece of that. Like,
of course.
You feel like that'll solve all of your life's problems, which I guarantee it won't. Do some research on what happened with like almost over half of the lottery winners. I would say over like 80% were either broke or in a worse place than they were before they won the lottery. However, but that bears a similarity to what I'm saying about with artists. So a lot of times with these new artists, they see the celebrity, they see the success story, and they feel like, hold on, the talent that I have, or I believe I have, is better than the talent that they have. So I should be able to leapfrog to where they are. And you don't know. You don't, like you're saying, you don't know all of the lottery tickets that they bought.
No, also what I want to tell people is, you could be as talented as that person that you're mentioning. You could look at someone and be like, I'm as talented as that person. And of course, we've all thought that at some point. Like, you're an incredible rapper. I'm sure you've looked at rappers and been like, I could out rap that guy. But that's not all there is to it, right? But you could out rap plenty of people. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind you could out rap, half of the top 40 rappers that are on there or more. But dude, let me tell, like, if you're a new artist and you have those thoughts quite often, let me just tell you right now. Aliens, dude, there are aliens out there in the studio. People that are so freaking on the nose talented, you wouldn't sleep that night after working with them. You'd be like, how did that just happen?
This is true.
Like you used to run Red Light Lounge, was that what you called it?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, some of the drummers that came in there, some of I mean, you. As good as I ever thought that I was, now I know, I just got to keep putting in hours, no matter how good. It doesn't matter. Countless hours. I just got to keep putting them in, because there are aliens out there. There are people I've met in studios. I can't describe to you. I don't know where it comes from. Like, I know people that have written some of the best songs I have ever heard in minutes. It just comes out. They're just doing some of the greatest songs of all time. And guess what? Some of these people don't have labels. Some of these people do have labels, and their deals sucked, and they didn't get anywhere with them. And they made a crappy album after that. And I know freaking singers, dude. If you do those steps that I'm talking about, where you're just in different studios all the time, just working with people, you are gonna meet. The only word I can think of is, you're going to meet aliens, man. These people who you just can't believe they exist. And so no matter how good you think you are, there are people out there who are insane. I mean, I can't even tell you. And they don't have record deals. And if they do, some of their deals are crap, and some of their deals don't work out. And some of them quit after that.
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. Some of the most successful people, some of the most incredibly talented people I know have been in limbo for the last 10 years. They don't have two pennies to rub together in terms of music. I'm sure they have other jobs, but in terms of music, they don't have two pennies to rub together.
Right.
And it's not because they're not amazing. It's because they just have not figured out that process that turns it into success, turns it into money, turns it into stability. And it took me up until not too long ago to try and figure that out. And in the end, I accredit it not to my talent, not to what I can do. It's to the fact that when I work with artists, I am so incredibly detailed about their desires and about how to make them come to fruition. And I always tell them the truth, and I'm always on time, and I always deliver. The deliverables are always done when they're supposed to be done. I never mess around. You're not going to catch me drunk one night not doing what I said I was going to do. That's what I credit the fact that I could turn music without some major label, without massive placements into financial stability. That's what I credit it to. I do not credit it to what I'm capable of. Now, of course, that always lends itself to part of it, but I do not credit it to my talent. I credit it to the atmosphere that I create when an artist is coming to me for a project. I take it seriously. I know it's important. I know that this is their livelihood, and I know they worked hard for the money that they're going to pay me.
But you just hit it on the nose. You just hit it on the nose. When people haven't found that centering that you have, that's that place where you're grounded, right? They are out seeking it.
Right.
They come to LA like you did, seeking it, right?
Yeah.
Like I did, seeking it. There's a difference when you attract it.
Right.
And that's the difference of being solid and grounded in yourself, in your believing in your what you do, and just knowing. Like at a certain point, you just know. You don't need anybody else to tell you you're good. You don't need anybody else to pat you on the back. You know. And in that space, you will then become the attractor of opportunities more than having to knock down every door, searching for an opportunity.
I still say to this day, I've never sent an email asking for work. And that's just a fact. I have had consistent work. I have had consistent clients for the last several years. And for 10 years, I've had clients that were not paying me very much because I wasn't charging very much because I didn't feel like I had that system together yet. So I had to work other jobs. I worked plenty of other jobs. But I've had consistent work for 10, 12 years, and I've never had to go looking for it. And I think it simply comes down to that atmosphere of like, well, also, I spent years and years working at meditation institutes and trying to get that sense of groundedness to be part of my everyday life. And the more that was cultivated, the more opportunities just start showing up. And sometimes I think, well, why wasn't it this opportunity that would have been bigger and more important, more meaningful? Why wasn't it this opportunity? Why wasn't that opportunity? But I have no doubt now that like exactly where I'm supposed to be is exactly where I would be the most happiest right where I am doing what I'm doing. And I feel like that mentality has attracted that type of work to me, the type of work where people can pay for my services and I can deliver the thing they're asking for, and it can happen time after time. And it doesn't mean I'm not insecure sometimes about, well, what about 5 years from now? What about 10 years? What about when I'm 70?
Especially even now as a parent, you probably even more.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, my son is a beacon. His presence has allowed me to attract more money, has allowed me to attract more success. Just him being alive and in front of me has allowed me to let go, to let go of my ego even more, and to just be happy with where I am, and try to be happy with what I have. And that's not always easy, especially for freaking human beings. We're nutcases. We just want more and more and more. And I'm no stranger to that concept either. But I have good enough willpower to not turn my life into that. And that's all we need in life is like, we're going to want this and that and this and that. The idea is not to let yourself go crazy, always trying to get everything and to be everything for everyone. And so he's a beacon for that too, and I have other work now, like in video production, and I run a small media team at an animal sanctuary in California. And I have other work now. And this all kind of came about around his birth. And, it took me a long time to make this kind of stuff work. And to me, it does come down to the prioritizing that, what you're calling grounding. It does come down to that, to a calm nervous system, really.
There's everyone knows the old cliche, if you build it, they will come. But we often never think that it might be you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because when you're an artist, when you're a creative, a lot of times that is it. Like, if you build you, because even in, like you said, in those hours of that process, your mind is always going. your mind is always going. So you're constantly thinking of, oh, what about this? I don't do this. Da, 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 da. Why did they do this? How did that work? Da, da, da. And you're analyzing. It's like you're just downloading all the time. You're like Chat GBT before it even came out. You're just downloading all of this great information, and you're not AI. You're like RI. You know what I'm saying? You're like real intelligence.
Oh, dude, that's great. That's
so you're like
the name of something.
Right, you're like the RI now, and so, but a lot of people they want to skip that. So imagine if you took AI and tried to start it before Google, tried to start it before all of these
delivery systems, or
right,
whatever,
these huge factories online of information, before Wikipedia, before, and you tried to start AI back then, it wouldn't be so smart.
No,
it wouldn't be able to do nearly as much as it does, but the timing was right. So the same timing with chat is the same timing with you. Like you,
it's so freaking true, man. I actually think that that's what like tastemakers are picking up on. Like people who are who we consider gatekeepers. Like I think that's what they are picking up on. Like, does this like energy match the time of whatever's happening right now? Like, And that's not to say, and here's the biggest mistake, is that doesn't mean you should be chasing that thing. It means continue to expand on what you do naturally, and eventually the timing will line up with what you do, and you'll be the next logical thing. The next logical evolution will be what you do. And that's kind of like that's kind of what you got to do. You got to keep doing what you do and try to do it the best you can do, and not try to chase all these things, because by the time you chase them, they're gone. And
they're so gone.
And stop trying to chase it, man, because there's no greater time waster, honestly.
Yeah, and you and I both know it. We've done it.
We've tried it many times.
We have been there. My guy said it well. He was like, he was saying, don't do. You know, they say do what you. Oh, they say do what you would do if money wasn't an issue, right?
I always have that thought too. What would I do if
what would you do if money wasn't an issue? So my guy, he was actually on here on Sunday, Shaolin Sheldon. He says, don't look at it like, don't frame it like do what you would do if money was an issue. Just do what you would do anyway.
Yes.
So without the whole if this and that, don't matter. Just anyway. So the same way that you were just up all night writing songs 4 a.m. Anyway. The same way that you kept picking up that guitar even though it was too big.
Yeah.
Anyway, like it's not about if this or it, just be, that is just you.
Yeah. And what I realized is what I would do anyway, if I wasn't thinking about, what are people going to like? What's going to be the thing that work? If I wasn't thinking about that, what I would do anyway is exactly what comes up when I'm doing it. That's what I would do. I would just not have any pre-thought or afterthought. I would do exactly what comes up while I'm in the process, and I would let that happen. I would let that evolve. I wouldn't think outside of it. I would just do exactly what comes up. And so I try to do that as often as possible. I try to just, whatever is coming up, whether it's a melody or whether it's an instrument that I like, I try not to think about it too much. I try to just do whatever is coming up right now. And that's what I would do if I did not have the stressors of thinking about, what people like or what they don't like, or what's going to make money or what's going to get placed or whatever. I would just do exactly what comes up right when I'm doing it. And so, that's what I try to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you do it well. You do it well, man. Like we won't, have time to really get into everything, but we
can go longer. Actually, little guy's sleeping, so I'm not.
Awesome. Yeah. You are one of the few talents that I know that not only finds themselves in wearing multiple hats, but actually wearing those hats well. It's like if someone hears you doing drum production, it sounds like someone who always does drum production. If you're just doing stacking background vocals, it sounds like someone who does this all the time. Like you put your heart and soul into music, and so you have this really rich history of kind of how you got here, and then you have what you are now. There's one thing that you told me when I first met you that always stood out to me, because you're the only person that ever said it. And I went back and forth off Is that a good approach or not? And I want to know your take on it because this is like over 10 years
I don't
ago now,
remember.
right? Over 10 years ago. We were talking about old school artists and old school music. I know you used to come to the red light and play some Prince, you might play Stevie, you play different, whatever. And but you said you don't agree that someone needs to like go listen to old stuff to be able to make great music now. Do you still feel the same way or you changed?
Here's what I do agree. Here's what I'll say. Okay. Okay. So if I used an analogy, like if you're going to be a landscape painter, right, you got to go see landscapes. It's just a fact. You got to go look at landscapes if you're going to be a landscape painter.
Yeah.
But if you're not trying to be a landscape painter and you're just trying to be an artist, then you should, like I said, you should do exactly what comes up. And, you can call it source, you can call it God, you can call it whatever it is, but that like stream of consciousness or creativity that comes towards us when we're making stuff, it is not limited by history whatsoever. It's only limited by how present you are now. And so I don't want to know what it sounds like to repurpose a 70s song. I want to know what it sounds like when someone is connected and what is trying to come through them. So I don't believe that you have to study the greats to be great. I believe you have to be connected and present to be great. And so will those old school vibes be channeled through us? All the time they are. But like, for example, I know lots of people who would be mad at me because they'd play a song and they'd be like, who's this? I'm like, I have no idea. Can we make a song? Right. And so I would get so bored of that conversation.
Right.
I would get so bored of it. I'm like, can we make something? And I think it was Prince actually who one of his quotes is, I don't really listen to music. When I want to hear something, I make it. And that's how I make music too. I'm not comparing myself to Prince whatsoever. I'm just saying that in terms of that mindset and that context, I live that way too. I don't listen to that much music anymore. If I feel like something needs to happen or I feel like there's an emotion, I try to put it into one of my artist records. I try to put it into one of my artist songs when I'm producing demos for somebody or whatever. I try to make it, and I've always been that way. And I'll tell you right now, I only listen to. I used to listen to a lot more music. I don't listen to that much music anymore. And I just found that people play that up too much. Unless you're going to be a very niche genre person who's like, I'm bringing the 80s back. Well, yeah, then you got to go listen to 80s music. But I'm not doing that. I'm doing exactly what comes up when I'm doing it. And so I don't need to listen to anybody else to do exactly what comes up when I'm doing it. I think early on, when you're first learning how to play an instrument or you're first learning how to produce, it's great to listen to other examples of it because it gives you some kind of jumping off point. But I don't think you need to be one of these people. And here's what I'll say. The people that I know who are most these people, I would never have in the studio with me. So that to me should be that to me is a reason to not want to follow suit. The people that I know who I'm in the car with and they're like, you know what this song is from the 50s? I'm like, no, can we make some songs? And those types of people, I don't consider them to be. I don't consider them to have any kind of edge over other people who don't do that. So I consider the people who have the edge. The edge is presence and connection. How present can I be right now, where I am doing what I'm doing with the tools that I have? That's the edge. If you don't have that edge, you could have listened to every single, Stevie Wonder record a lot. I mean, my uncle is the greatest fan of Stevie Wonder probably on planet Earth. And guess how many instruments and songs, guess how many instruments he can play? 0. And guess how many songs he's ever made? 0. So just do the math, You either have time to study everybody or you have time to make stuff. And that's just, I like making stuff. I'm a stuff maker. I don't want to
stuff maker.
And it's the same with video. It's the same with graphic design. It's the same with, I make stuff. I don't really want to study what other people did that much, but I understand
Yeah.
why it's cool. Like I've listened to probably almost every Prince song out there. I've listened to his live albums zillions of times, but simply because I enjoy them. Not because I'm trying to like take that into the future. I'm not. I want to do exactly what I do right when I'm doing it with what I have around to do it with.
And I understand that. Real quick to the chat. Roger Drakes, you know him as DJ Dodge, said congratulations on the new life, sir. He didn't know about
Check him out.
little man. There you go in the back. The little guy.
Yeah, greatest thing I ever did.
I still remember, you know, the day he was born. I was hitting you and shit. Is he come? Is he there yet? Is he there yet? Is he there? Boom! I got a picture. I was like, yeah, there you go. He's in the building.
Yeah, and I did my phone. I've like used up every last gigabyte of phone space.
Oh yes, that you need a
Yeah,
second.
I bet you have like 3. You know, you have multiple. You know, you're filling up multiple hard drives of photos.
Forget it. Just forget it. Yeah, I don't. I do hear your perspective, and I still slide back and forth because there's a part of me that feels very much like what you just said. It's like you want to be in your own truth, right?
Yeah,
just you want to be connected into your own moment. You want to harvest what's inside of you so that you pour that out as perfectly as you can without outside, you know, glitches or imperfections. I want to get this out the best I can.
Yeah.
And then there's another part of me that feels like not so much like looking into the past is a limiter, but more like exactly what you said. You said you want to be connected to your source, to God, whatever you call it. Sometimes for me, I look at it like, well, being able to listen to a great when they were connected to God.
Oh yeah.
Is there's a presence in that might stimulate something in you
100%.
that was just unrevealed. Maybe since we all can kind of be angels towards each other the way God can use anyone. If you believe in God, any, you know, whoever's listening, you can even look at it like, well, God might have sent you that person for you to listen to that song because 100%. There's something in that song when he connected with him that he wants for you too. So I struggle in that space of, yes, bring it in, but don't crowd it to the point where now I just want to be a cover man because I'm endowed with everybody else's greatness.
Exactly. And I think what you're talking about is that happy middle ground where it's like 100%. There's not like, that's what artists are for, right? They're people who are connected in a moment, made something that's never been made before, and you get to return to that to kind of soak in whatever that felt like, and that also helps kindle your fire, your flame, the thing that you use. That is about the extent to which I use other music. That's about the extent. But there are absolutely, like, there's an absolute extreme version of that I do notice a lot of times, and I think it is limiting. But also, like, 100% what you're describing is like sometimes you're sent, you get this inspiration to listen to something which might, you know, impact your moment and therefore, you know, help you create something. And I think if you are struggling to connect in the moment, really, which I struggle with it every single day. When it does happen, it's like a thing. I'm like, oh, I'm here. Cool. I feel present, right? And a lot of times it happens when I'm with other people because they sort of center me. They focus me in the moment, and I'm listening to them. They're listening to what I'm doing. I'm listening to them singing in the background, and that just like sucks me into the moment.
It works.
Yeah. But like if you're having a little bit of a hard time getting into that space for whatever reason, there could be many reasons. It could be you're tired. Could be there's zillions of reasons. Then there is a time to resort to what I'd call the path of least resistance, the next best version of getting into the zone, which is inspiration, which is or actually I should call it motivation. I think listening to old stuff to get in the vibe is motivation. Being tapped in the moment is inspiration, and I try my best to be inspired. Meaning like something like I'm in that zone where something just comes into my brain and it works versus listening to something else, hoping that will move me towards a thing. So I think like what you're describing describing is a perfect middle ground where that's the extent I think you should be like trying to bring in too many influences into the shit. Because also, there's nothing that kills the vibe more than references. I cannot tell you how much it kills my vibe, because I'm like, ooh, I have an idea for this demo. And I go, oh, I'm about to execute. And then I go, oh, and then I get a text. Oh, here's a good reference for that song. Oh, I'm done. I'm over. I honestly don't want to do the song for real. I honestly am like, sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to do it anymore, because
No, that's a fact.
now I'm not in it.
I don't want to hear
Now I'm not in it. So a lot of times, honestly, and I'll tell this now, and maybe it's a secret I shouldn't be divulging because someone on here might want to make a record one day. I do not listen to references. When you send me a reference, you say this is the reference for a song, I don't listen to it, because I don't want that here. And the reality is, you will like best what I'm most inspired to do.
Boom. I was just about to say that. I have been in the studio with SR a plenty of nights. We have rocked in multiple studios. We have been on stage together, and I don't disagree with that statement at all. There's been times that I was like, yo, yeah, maybe something that sounds like, and I start trying to throw out stuff, and it feels like there is such a hard time dragging through the weeds to try to get to the outcome. But the times that we just sit there and we're just talking and we're saying like, what's on your heart right now, and having a conversation, and he might pick up the guitar and he's kind of strumming. I start thinking of something like, oh, maybe a song that kind of da-da-da. Next thing you know, not only do we have a song, he and I will have the song, we'll have the video concept, we'll have branding, we'll have the whole picture, and all we entered with was an open mind.
And I kind of picked that up from our sessions.
I
kind of picked that up from our sessions, where like now when I'm with an artist, I'll always say like, I don't really want to write about something that happened to you 12 years ago. I want to know what's the dominant feeling in your life today. That's the thing that's going to work.
Right. Yeah, and you brought that up a lot to me. There'll be times that I was talking to you about an idea. Maybe it was an idea because a lot of times my thinking might be,
you're a big thinker, yeah.
What song is not
does
out?
the world need right now? Yeah.
Right. What song is needed? What song encapsulates what's going on? And you might be like, okay, that's dope, but like, is that happening to you?
Right.
Like personally, like is it something that's really affecting you directly? And I might be like, maybe not directly. And it's like, okay, well, let's go to that. And oddly enough, this is the crazy part for any creator that's out there. If you've been in this long enough, if you've been sucking in the garage, like SR said, long enough, you already know this. But a lot of times, the further in you go, that other stuff will still find its way to connect to it.
100% of the time. Yeah. 100% of the time. And the thing is, like, that's also where the healing is. And like, music is for the audience too, but it's also for you. And I always say, like, the part that we're doing now is for us. Everything after this is for the audience, but this part is for us. So we can't be cheating ourselves and skipping the part where this part's for us. So like, I won't say names and I won't say details, but this was a very pertinent story. This concept comes up 100% of the time I'm working with any artist about any song. Almost is I go when we're writing something new, I always return to, is this now, or are we being retrospective, or are we being too futuristic? Like, is this now? Because now is what's going to work. Now is what's going to, for us, for our process, now is what's going to heal. Now is what's going to create that energy that really makes this meaningful to the next person. Right. It happens almost 100% of the time, because we all have a tendency to overthink lyrics, right? We all have a tendency to be like you said, we all have a tendency to be like, what does the world want to listen to right now? What do they need? What's the big message? And then the reality is, honestly, the big message is that we're human, and that each one of our individual experiences is important, and that we have common ground. And so that's what we need to get to, is the part that's really affecting you. But I remember a story. I remember a session. A girl was she was feeling really impacted by an ex and how he was kind of abusing her, treating her. And and so the way that the song started was like about freedom and about all these things, but it wasn't the freedom that like was related to this topic. It was freedom, like having fun at the beach type thing. And I said, okay, this is cool. This is cool. I get it. But isn't there something that needs to be said that we're not saying, right? And so,
stop moving the camera so much.
what did you say? Oh, sorry.
Stop
So
moving.
I said, isn't there something that needs to be said that we're not getting to? We're not getting to that core thing that's going to make this important. And the resistance was really high, right? She didn't want to do it. It was very hard for her to get to that place. But once we finally I said, no one has to hear it. This part is for us. Let's just do it. And if you can't stand it, then you don't have to perform it. Not every song has to be released. Not every song has to be finished. Sometimes we just start stuff and we got to see where it goes. But the most important thing is that we're being honest to ourselves. If we can't be honest to ourselves, we're just not honest people. And so we got to be honest to ourselves. We got to do the thing that's supposed to be done. And I remember just the healing process of allowing that to come out and allowing ourselves to get to that really core thing that was really. And this was a problem that hadn't been solved in her life for almost 5 or 6 years, and now all of a sudden was lifting. And it's not because we're we all of a sudden transcended to a different universe. It's because we were honest about what was affecting us right now and vulnerable enough to write about it. And that's the thing, dude. You can't overthink this stuff. It's got to be what is the dominant feeling right this minute? I have to be strong enough to write about that.
Yeah. I would actually say, retrospectively thinking, I know you will agree with this because you've disengaged from this lifestyle, is I think for a lot of artists, the worst move, which is always thought of as the best move, the worst move to make is actually to move to a place like LA when you're still in that process, right?
Yeah.
Because LA forces you out of that space. You can't, unless you find people like SR, unless you find a tight group of people that are on that same wavelength, giving off that energy where when you guys get together, it's like, let's get back to our honesty. LA says, screw your honesty, make me some money, and you will forever, you won't even realize it. But the rest of your writing, production, career will be trying to get LA to accept you.
Oh my gosh.
The number one thing to do for anybody listening that doesn't live in a place like Los Angeles or New York, Atlanta, places that really push the needle, would be 100% solid in your music creation, development as an artist, your sound, your thoughts. Make sure you feel like I have gotten everything from me that I can at this point. You can only do as much as you can at that phase of your life. Don't go to LA to find it. Don't go to New York to find it. Be done and then go. Then go. Because look at people like Adele. Look at people like Kanye. I know we don't really look at Kanye like that, but think about someone like a Kanye. Think about these artists that weren't in the mix, but by the time they got to LA and you heard them, by the time they made it to it was like, whoa.
Never thought of that, of Adele. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But all the people that, to me, when I look back, the people that have the greatest longevity, that have 5, 6, 7, 8 albums, that have multiple plaques, that have this historic career, they had it before they made it to the big time. When Wyclef found Destiny's Child, they already were something. Beyonce was already something. He took them and said, whoa, this is the thing. I'm taking this over here. And look what happened. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's a big difference from someone finding I can't think of an art, finding I don't know, Justin Bieber, who still had a great career. But even him, I got to give him credit because he was doing his thing before he came to LA, before he met Usher.
That's the 10 years of sucking that has to happen.
There's something that comes with that. And
Taylor
like
Swift,
at the beginning,
10 years of sucking.
Taylor Swift, you can't cheat it. We all want to cheat it. We all want to skip the fact that, and I remember hearing this. They said if they played a 1-second clip of every person that lost in the lottery, it would take up enough airtime to cover an entire year. Think about that. 1 second for every person would cover a year's worth of airtime However, we're all trying to win the lottery. And they said, imagine if they put that on TV. No one will want to do it.
No
one will want to be a part of it. And that's how it is with music or
Yep.
with any art form. It's the same thing. You get so focused on the end point that you don't realize all the steps in between. So those people that made it, they got through it. They went through the thick of it. They went through the mud.
Yep. And also, I'll tell you a secret is, like, in my experience, having been to label meetings, played songs for people, and also been to, places like New York and almost signed record deals with artists I was working with. Cashmere is 100% right. The moving to LA part does not necessarily make you more desirable to the tastemakers, to the green lighters. A lot of times they recognize that this person who has something that's not necessarily from this mix, that is new and different, and you know what? It can't be duplicated. And
bingo.
And so it's kind of a misnomer. It's kind of misleading that, like, moving to LA just makes you all of a sudden more desirable to industry people. It does not. It does not. I mean, one of the closest, like, big deals that was, like, the pen was almost touching the paper and something went wrong with the negotiation with this artist I was working with. This was a person not from there, just brand new in the mix, but was bringing something from somewhere else that was not being duplicated locally. And that was what made it like a now thing. It was like, oh, we can't lose this. This is a thing that's only going to happen once. And I can tell it's unique and I can tell it's special. And we want that.
Yep.
And so, you have artists like Ed Sheeran, who busking for zillions of years, doing the 10 years of sucking thing.
Right.
And a lot of these major artists did that. It's LA can be very misleading. It really can. It can make you forget that, like, most of these people were like that everyone is trying to chase in the industry, these top 40 artists, they came from the 10 years of sucking crew, and they did that thing. They didn't just go right to, like, trying to be celebrities. Now, of course, there are exceptions to this, but if you're talking like you're saying, sustainable careers, multiple albums, not burning through a check in 2 years and then not getting another deal and then they fall off the map. Like, if you're talking about people with real serious careers and businesses that are still making money,
right?
There's a handful of those people, and I'll tell you right now, almost most of them came from the 10 years of sucking outside of LA crew.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. And going back to, like, the Beverly Hillbillies, they found the oil first.
Yeah.
And then they moved to Beverly Hills. Or they didn't go to Beverly Hills and then find oil.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And LA will make you jaded sometimes. So you got to be vigilant. You got to be vigilant. You got to you got to remember where you came from, and you got to also, and whatever that even means, really. But you know what it means when it's said. But you got to try to find that grounding that says, like, I'm not going to let this place monopolize my energy. I'm not going to let it monopolize my goals, my vision, because it can do it very quickly and in a very real way. And that maybe brings us to one of the points that you wanted to talk about, which is why I ended up leaving.
Yeah, because you've always been great at balancing things out. Like, that's when I used to come over and you over there building a chicken coop. I'm like, that's my guy. That's my guy right now.
A chicken condo, actually, that freaking sliding windows and everything.
Right. The whole chicken went from mixing the album or mixing a song to present for some movie feature to building a chicken condo. Yeah. Like, 20 feet away. Like that's my guy. Or even with the work you were doing with the wolves.
Yeah.
Like, that was incredible. Like,
yeah.
That blew me. And then when you got your dog, I'm like, he looks like a wolf. Like, this guy is really in the wolves. But that balance is very much necessary. And it sounds like you probably got to a point where you're like, you know what, the only way to balance this thing out completely is to leave.
Well, I think what I realized was, like, I was doing too much of that, like what we're talking about, which is man, I've like trauma responses to, like, the amount of times that, like, a gig came into my inbox, like, we need a song for this movie, and you know, Michael Jackson's gonna come back from the dead and sing it, and we need it in 2 hours.
In 2 hours, yes.
And it needs to sound like a squirrel is singing "Happy Birthday" in a minor key, and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. So impossible, but I'm gonna try, right? So I have like anxiety about these times where I'd get a thing in my inbox, and then I would forget my whole life trying to execute it, trying to do it, trying to get it done now. And guess how many of those things turned into something? None of them.
0.
And the times that I got TV placements or whatever, this is just me chilling with my buddies, making records that then all of a sudden someone needed. And, you know, I got a Capitol Records placement, not last year, maybe it was last year, 2 years ago. This is a song that I was making for another artist, a guy that I always work with. We were just chilling, vibing out, and, you know, hanging out at night, you know, with just hanging out with our friends. And we made this record. And then a few years later, somehow Capitol wants it. I don't know how these things happen. Sometimes it just goes from person to person to person and ends up where it's supposed to be. But those times that I went into anxiety mode, into survival mode, into I got to get this done now because, you know, this is the big thing, that just ruined my life. It was just they were coming in all the time, and it ruined my sanity. And I would always be like, okay, I need a night or two. And, you know, I don't just go to like a cabin. I would be like, I want to go out into the backcountry of the Sierra Nevada for 5 days and, you know, be in my tent or whatever. And that's the only way that I could really like decompress from that kind of energy that was taking over my life sometimes. And so then I just, when the pandemic started, I thought to myself, you know, I don't think that I don't want to live. I'm not saying that people don't or shouldn't. And I'm not saying that everyone's life is the same. I know, you know, I've lived in many different places with many different types of people. I've met many different types of people. I respect everyone's way of life. I don't personally like the going on vacation concept. I don't want to go on vacation. I just want to be where I want to be. And thankfully it's not Bora Bora, right? I just want to be in the mountains, right? So I would always be escaping this cycle of like, now, I got to do it now. I got to do it now. And if I don't do it now, I'm not worth anything, and nothing's ever going to happen. And I just got to escape that.
That is LA on the billboard right there.
I just got to escape it and go into the mountains for a few days. And I mean, I grew up going into the mountains, and this was like, I always associated it with peace and quiet and centering myself again. But then one day when the pandemic started and I realized I'm not going to have any artists here for a few months, probably, maybe this is my shot to not be trying to escape all the time and to just be where I want to be already. And so that was my thing, is like, I want to live in a place that feels similar to the place I keep escaping to.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And so, you know, I moved to Colorado. I, you know, live in a place in the trees and the mountains, and I spent a lot of time in the mountains, and now it's just my backyard. So I don't have to drive 5 hours away and take a 2 days off to do it. I can go in the morning. I can go in the afternoon. And I do feel a sense of like, like coming home and honoring how I actually want to live. Right. I really want to live. I want to make music, and I want to make music in a peaceful place, and I want to make music in a quiet place, and I want to make music in a place where I can think, and I want to make music in a place where I can kind of nudge myself into that grounded place, into that. I want to make music in a place that's a little bit easier to get myself there. And if I'm risking proximity to what people are calling the industry, which more or less does not exist as it did 10 years ago. But if we're talking about proximity, if I'm risking the longevity of this by proximity, I'm fine with that, because I breathe easier and I breathe better. And it's not that I want to escape people, because I don't. In fact, I want to be around people more now than I ever did. And I see people better than I ever did. And I want to be around people as much as I possibly can. And I spend, and you know, especially now that my son's born, we spend a lot of time with other parents and other people. And I'm not trying to be a hermit and escape from the world.
Right.
I just am honoring where I function the best. And that's, I had to do that, you know?
And so you needed quiet. You needed a place that you can think.
Yep.
You needed some distance.
Yep.
And then you had a baby.
Yeah,
And
you
you
know what's
lost
funny is
all of that.
he accentuates it for me, which is funny. Like dude, the kid when they don't sleep, you start becoming a crazy person. But he hasn't slept properly in 6 months, and that makes you kind of nuts sometimes. But I even more want to be that person now because I want him to know me that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want him to be me at all. Actually, I want him to avoid a lot of the crap that I had to go through. But I want him to know that an adult man can access this kind of energy where he's peaceful, he's grounded, he's creative, he's consistent, and he processes his thoughts, and he is productive with his thoughts as often as he can be, and also that he makes mistakes, but that he's honoring the way he feels and the way he wants to live, and that he has access to that. I don't care what he does. I just want him to know that he has access to that. Absolutely. And the only way that I can teach my son that exists is for me to be
the example,
to live that way.
Yeah.
And so I had to just be somewhere. And I'm not condoning the idea that you should run away from places that don't make you feel good, because other places will make you feel good. But there are times when you deserve a little bit more of a path of least resistance. And sometimes a change of environment can help with that. And so,
absolutely,
and in my case, it does help with it. It doesn't mean I'm not here. And it doesn't mean who I am and the issues that I have don't exist. It doesn't mean that. It's just, I wanted to live in a place where I could think clear, and I'm very sensitive to sounds. I don't know if other producers feel this way, but after listening for 7 million hours to things, it's just I'm very sensitive to noises. And where we were living in LA, it was just people screaming all the time outside, and beeps and horns, and I just can't. I could not live like that anymore and be productive. So I just had to do it.
They say COVID was the great reset, and as problematic as it was for the world as a whole, there are definitely some blessings that happen throughout it. People got a chance to see what their marriages were really made of.
Huge.
People got a chance to reconnect with their children because maybe they were working all the time, and now they actually get to be around them. And some people, that wasn't a good thing. A lot of divorces happened during COVID. People realize, I don't really like you that. When I only had to deal with you a little bit in the beginning of the day, a little at the end of the day on weekends, it was cool. But every day you're kind of annoying. So it's great to hear what blossomed and what got even better in your life. I didn't even realize that was the reason. I knew just from knowing you and from caring about you as a friend, I knew he ain't gonna be here forever.
Yeah, of course.
He's not gonna be in LA for this. Is just not the zone for him. He operates in it very well.
Yeah,
he's thriving in it. He's not like he's here and the whole city's just he's submerged in it. It's dwarfing him. No, he's on stages, he's on projects, he's like you said, he's meeting people, he's doing this thing. But I talk to him on a personal level, not just a musician level. And on a personal level, the person don't really rock with this place. So when I go hang out with the person and we go hiking, that's the person that I know. That when I see the way that person's eyes light up, and I remember that little I'll never forget it because I have a picture of it, but it was this little grass hut looking thing that everybody else probably would have walked away from. We both went and sat in it and took a picture inside this little thing, and it was little things like that, especially for somebody like me, because I enjoy that as well. When I see it in somebody else, there's an immediate connection, and I recognize that yes, you are very tapped into nature overall. You really want to get back to that. And so I always had that sense that eventually something else is going to happen, but now I know exactly what was the final trigger.
And to be fair, LA changed
very much.
It changed. I'll say this: when I moved there 13 years ago, so 13 years ago, LA was the great adventure of my life. It was like I met the most wild people, the most unique people. I went to gatherings that you just I didn't even know they were like, they could exist in life. And I met some amazing people, and there's so many knowledgeable and smart people there, and there are communities there that are so special and so cool. But as it got, I don't know, something happened around the time of the pandemic. It lost all of its thing for me, that I was like, okay, I'm feeling the natural trajectory that I cannot be here much longer and be good with myself. I just can't. I gotta go. I gotta switch it up. I gotta be closer to that place I keep trying to go to when I need to feel like myself again. I just got to be closer to that place, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And when the pandemic hit, it was like all of a sudden permission. LA can make you feel like it's the only place that exists.
We got a song about that.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we got a song about that.
Whatever it hurts.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever that song, I remember it.
You'll give everything.
Life away from here. Yeah, that
No
song,
life.
that
That's
song
it.
actually had a really cool vibe to it.
Man, it has a good. I still play it.
I found it recently, and I thought, wow, we kind of did it on that one. But
yeah, we tapped in.
Yeah, it makes you feel like there nowhere else exists, and nowhere else is good enough, and nowhere else can make your thing happen, or whatever. Like, it monopolizes it. It's not, that is not a good feeling. And that's not like LA's fault. It's just the collective feeling around there.
Yeah.
And it affected me negatively. It may affect other people positively. It affected me negatively. And right now, while I'm waiting to move again further into the mountains, I live on a mountain ranch, and my dog gets to be outside, and my son gets to be in the sun, and he gets to be outside in the quiet, and see horses and see cows, and we get to ride quads together in the field, and we can go up into remote mountains at any time, any day, and I just live off of that, off of the access to that. And that's also what makes America a very cool place, is that America's awesome in that there's not a lot of places you can just be in the wilderness, and there's a lot of animals, and you can be wherever you want and camp wherever you want and drink the water from the creeks and sleep under the stars. And America is cool to me is cool for that reason. It's a huge valuable part of the way that that North America is set up.
Yeah.
And that's a really important thing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely gonna be out there soon.
Yeah,
I'm coming to visit. So now one thing you just brought up I thought about something from you talking about the family dynamic, because I always saw you as someone who would be exactly where you're at now.
Yeah,
I can't say that I saw. I don't know if I should put a name out there or not. I can't say that I saw your lady.
Yep.
I didn't know if that was her space. So how is she adjusted? Was that home to her, or is she like SR?
Something you don't know about her, because she was a hairdresser. Something you don't know about her is she's a horse girl. She is one of the best horse trainers out there. She's really good with horses. She's like a horse whisperer. It's like, you got a problem horse, and she can fix the issue. And so while she had the same fear as I had, which is like, can I leave LA? It's like the only place that exists on earth. What's out, like, even though she moved from England, so we should all know that there's other places, and that we're resilient, and that we're creative, and we can come up with, we're resourced. But
once you're there,
I forgot.
Once you're there, it pulls you. You're like, where else? I'd have to pay taxes. So how do taxes work in other places? I don't know how to get gas.
I forgot that places existed.
Are there grocery stores outside? I don't even.
And I forgot, I forgot that I could live somewhere else. I totally forgot. It just was not a thing in my brain. And so, something you maybe didn't know about her is like, we moved. She got a horse, and it reminded her that, like, this is another passion of hers. She doesn't just need to do this one thing. And so she started a company around equestrian clothing, and she trains horses, and she's not as obsessed with I am with remote wilderness as I am, where, like, I really like to be out there. But she loves the mountains. She loves the deep snow. She loves being with horses, and
Yeah.
she's
awesome.
this is not an issue for her whatsoever. And also, like, I definitely working with wolves, like you mentioned before, definitely was a continual weekly reminder of kind of like how I wanted to live differently than I was, and they played a big part in that too.
Yeah. Well, man, I can tell that life has been good for you. You look healthy, you look at peace, you're at joy. Now that we have the audio issue worked out, I can actually hear how calm your voice still is. And man, it's a pleasure reconnecting with you, brother. I'm hoping we can do it again sometime soon. Hopefully get some new music when you have time. I know you're producing The Planet right now.
Dude, that's the thing, is it's all happening in secret. I'm doing 2 albums and a few singles, and I got a lot of stuff going on. But if you look at my Instagram, you'll just see cows or whatever.
So just know, if you see SR's Instagram, he didn't stop. He didn't stop working. If you were like, man, one of the best songwriters I work with was this guy named SR. Let me check and see if he's still doing it. And then you go, and the last 3 posts were like a daisy, a creek, a squirrel, and a cup of coffee. Trust me, that means he's working. Like,
100%.
Like you should look at that stuff like, oh, he's in his zone right now. I need to get with him. If he's posting pictures of squirrels, and he's in his zone.
And I am.
I gotta hit him up.
I'm hoping to build a studio maybe next year that you can come out to, and we can get back into it. I'm hoping to have a better spot. Right now it's just a temporary situation, but I'm hoping next year to, like, I want to build a little studio that just reflects all the stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah, I will be there, man. You are my Kanye. Kanye got his ranch. I'm going to my Kanye ranch.
That's wild, dude. Actually, I'll mention this one last thing. I am so glad that guy started wearing muck boots. Do you know what muck boots are? Because now I can wear muck boots.
Now you can
and black jeans in town, and no one says anything.
No one has. What do you say? You can't talk about it now.
It's amazing. I love it. Except mine are covered in mud sometimes, so I doubt his are. But yeah.
All right, my guy SR. Pod is good.
What is it? Always good?
All the time.
Wait.
All the time.
Remind me, all the time. Or pod is good all the time.
And all the time.
Pod is good.
Pod is good. You got it. Next time you come back, you'll be ready. You'll have that locked in. All good, my man. I appreciate it. Everybody, one last thing. SR, if they want to reach out to you, if you want anybody to reach out to you or see any of your projects that you have going on, where can they find you?
Well, you can. Follow me on Instagram. I am bad with social media, but follow me on Instagram. SRPROD LLC. SRProd LLC. And if you want to email me, just srproductionsllc@gmail.com. And I'm on there. I'm just not super active, but anything you guys need or you want to get in touch with me about, that's a good spot to start.
I'm telling y'all, this is my favorite song that I've probably ever created. Is a song called Clark Kent, and that song came out of exactly what we've talked about. It was a real thing. Things were going on with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. Things were going on. Us having a new kid, talking about moving. Your mind changing because you're building a family, and that out of that and sitting with SR produced one of the greatest songs that I feel like I've ever put forth. So, my guy, I appreciate you, everybody. This has been episode 11 of the Pod is Good podcast. I'm your man, Cashmere, California. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace out.